Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of Fran Coach's Franchising 101 webinar series. I'm your host, Tim Parmeter. Today's Franchisor Spotlight series is going to welcome a sweet franchise that offers a very simple business model that is great for both owner-operator or semi-absentee owners. They have an incredibly loyal customer base and can easily grow into multiple locations. Sound good so far? Thought so. So before we get to our guest, I want to let you know who we are. Fran Coach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals who are interested in owning a franchise. We are partnered with over 500 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 60 industries. Our goal is, number one, two things. Number one is to educate clients enough to determine if franchise ownership is the right path, and if so, it is to find them the absolute best franchise to own. That is the easy part, and best of all, there is never any fee for our service. So that is a little bit about us, but we didn't come here for that. We came here to talk to our guest, and today joining us is Miss Jenna Spadassino, the Franchise Development Manager of Rita's Italian Ice. Jenna, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much, Tim, for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks again.
Cool. Yeah, and I was totally in my head about getting your last name correctly. And so how did we do on that?
I think you did pretty well.
Okay. I'm just going to stick with Jenna the rest of the way. So
sure. Yeah.
We appreciate you joining, and it is out here in Arizona. It's noon, so I haven't had lunch yet, and now I'm seeing all this good stuff. My sweet tooth is going a little crazy. So for anybody that's maybe kind of start off who isn't familiar with Ritas, I know you guys are pretty much everywhere. Maybe just start off, what the heck is Italian ice, and what are some of the things just on the menu, and entice us a little bit about what we can find at Rita's.
Absolutely. So Rita's Italian Ice, we're the largest Italian ice concept in the world. So no one quite offers what we do. We have Italian ice and frozen custard. So those are our two core menu items. So Italian ice, for someone that's never had Italian ice, it can be a little bit difficult to explain. But when you think of a snow cone or shaved ice, it's easy to tell you that that is not what Italian ice is. It's a much more incorporated experience. It's smooth, it's creamy, it's made with real fruit. All of our products are made fresh daily in every shop that we have. The Italian ice is made and served within 36 hours. The treats, I mean, as you can see here on the screen, I mean, we offer a simple menu with those two products, but we can create so much with just those two things. And as you can see, depending on what you're in the mood for that day, our signature treat, the very first picture all the way to the top left, that's our gelati. And the gelati is basically Italian ice and custard together. So the bottom of the cup, there's going to be a little bit of custard on the bottom. Then there's a flavor of Italian ice with a dollop of custard back on the top. And then obviously you can do different toppings or sprinkles or jimmies, if that's what you call them, whatever that you'd like to do. And our number one Italian ice flavor is mango. So pretty much any location that you'll go to across the country, they'll have mango for sure. But as you can see, there's different ways to enjoy the treats, whether you want to use a spoon or a straw. Some of the other ones are a concrete, which is directly below the gelati, and that's similar to basically a custard with some toppings mixed in. So there really is so much to choose from on the menu.
Gotcha. Goodness, it all looks fantastic. And you said, straw or spoon, and I'm just thinking, I'm just diving straight in. So I'm going, I'm going at it like my 7-year-old would. So awesome. So that all looks fan-stinking-tastic. So that's definitely kind of the yummy side of Rita's. So we're not here necessarily to be a customer, though there's nothing wrong with that. But talk to us a little bit about, from a business model, what are some of the advantages that people can experience as an owner of Rita's?
Absolutely. And looking at this picture, I mean, this is just one of the many types of, shops that we have. Our business model was founded on a walk up. I mean, the business was started by a retired firefighter on the front porch of his house, quite honestly. So when you think about, the locations that we have, the majority are a walk up business model where you're just walking up to the window to get your treat. You're not having to go inside. A lot of locations do have some outdoor patio seating, umbrellas. Some also have drive-throughs. So there's really, so much flexibility with the model, which is always good. Most of our walk-up locations are a minimum of about 800 square feet. So that's pretty, small space needed to even operate with it being, made fresh daily. So it's a pretty scalable business. Certainly can look at doing multiple locations. There's obviously additional benefits that, I'll go into a little bit later, but certainly lower food and operating costs because again, we're speaking about Italian ice and frozen custard. So there's no fryers, grease traps, grills, there's none of that. And as I mentioned before, everything is made locally at every shop level. So that really speaks to the integrity of the product that we do have. So all the franchisees, they'll order the mixes from us. It'll get delivered depending on, what they like to offer. And then they'll make it in their shop. So it really does allow, a great opportunity to, do sales inside the shop and then branch out to do catering. If a school wants to have you at their fun day or an event that they're having, they'll come to you, give you a check and you can deliver the product to them. That's certainly something that a lot of our franchisees do. There's some that even look to partner with even airlines in doing their employee appreciation days. So really with catering, I mean, there's no overhead needed for that. I mean, you're already making the product in your shop. So additionally, too, we do have mobile operations. And when I say mobile, there's carts, trucks, and trailers. Now, you do have to have a shop beforehand because, again, it's made at the shop level, and then you can transport it out with that vehicle. So if you're looking to do some larger scale events, like food truck festivals and things like that, that's certainly an opportunity to do that.
Okay. You mentioned the catering side of things. I think it's maybe a little hidden sometimes because this is, especially if it's a walk up or a drive through. This is just, hey, this is us going to get a fun treat. But the catering can be huge from a couple standpoints. One, it's a bigger ticket item for that, but now you get a chance to introduce a whole group of people that maybe didn't know about Rita's, and all of a sudden now you've got new customers from that one catering event. So that's a huge piece of it, really, to help kind of grow that business.
Exactly. And that's something, especially for people that aren't familiar with Rita's, to your point, Tim, that it's great brand awareness to really expose people to the brand, because if you've never heard of Italian ice, if you've never had frozen custard, I mean, it's just a different experience when guests do get to try it, because I mean, I can tell you once they try it, they definitely come back. They're repeat customers for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So talk a little bit to us about what you guys look for in a potential owner.
Our franchisees really come from all walks of life. So I can tell you that we have, CPAs, certainly people in corporate America, certainly different business owners, people that are already in the franchise industry and looking to really diversify their portfolios. So I can't tell you that there's certainly any one type of person that we'd be looking for. But I can tell you that one of the most important parts of this business is really being a part of the community, because even though Rita's is a franchise and we have 600 or so locations, each shop is individually owned, and I can tell you that each owner takes pride. And if you're a part of a community where there's Rita's, people take pride in going to their Rita's shop. I mean, it just really becomes a staple in the community. So having someone that is willing to, dedicate the time to maybe they're not in the shop. I mean, I'm not saying they have to necessarily scoop ice every day, but if they're out there building the business, building the brand, partnering with schools, sports organizations, or other businesses to really help with the exposure, that's certainly one of the most important things that we find for our franchisees. So certainly looking for someone to do that. More than likely, they're extroverted, obviously need to be out in front of people. So looking for someone pretty social, outgoing, and able to be energetic and passionate about the business and the products. I mean, again, this is a happy business. I can't tell you that, we serve happiness, people leave happy, it's never a bad, experience when someone's coming to get a treat.
Right. And it helps from your labor standpoint too, right? Because it's not your typical, cranky fast food worker. Again, just from and again, you've got a younger labor force, right? That are typically working, but they want that job not because they're making millions of dollars, like scooping ice, right? But they want that fun, happy environment as well. So I'm guessing that helps a little bit from a labor standpoint, correct?
Exactly. And I mean, mainly, franchisees, they're hiring high school and college students. And I mean, most times, depending with the area, I mean, this is their first job. I mean, you're able to really kind of help mold, the foundation for someone that's really looking to get into the workforce and help instill those values that can really, help them. And I know that there's even some, we call them treat team members, so our employees, but some treat team members, are coming back season after season, long after, and they're in their college days. And I can even tell you that there's so many stories of treat team members that have kind of moved through the operational ranks and were a manager, and they've opened their own Ritas and become an owner, or they've actually, bought out the existing owner when they were ready to retire. So I think that really speaks volumes to how much the brand and the business make an impact on everyone.
Absolutely. So you kind of referenced earlier a little bit of the scalability, right? And I think we all understand, hey, with something like this, we can have multiple locations, whether it's walk up, drive through, etc. But maybe kind of fill us in. You talk a little bit some of those kind of alternate ways in which we can scale that business.
Exactly. And one of the things too that's going to be important when you're looking at leveraging multiple locations, I mean, obviously you can better organize labor, products, obviously your marketing dollars with having multiple locations. It just becomes, easier as you continue to scale. And there's so many opportunities to do that, especially in addition to the standard shop. I mean, we have a number of locations that are non-traditional in nature. And when I say that, they're in special venues, amusement parks, stadiums, ballparks. So those are additional opportunities as well that franchisees could look to take part in. There's certainly, again, mobile operations. We have a mobile leasing program with a truck that's been outfitted. For someone that's looking for the truck, there's also the trailers and carts for certainly smaller events. So again, those opportunities are great to add additional revenue. And always, the event catering. I think that's probably one of the biggest things, and probably one of the undermost utilized opportunities to just really leverage the brand and be able to get out in the community. Some franchisees, they'll take some ice, and we call them happiness drops, and they'll go to the local businesses maybe around the shop and say, I'm from Rita's, and, here's what we offer. We'd love for you to sample. I mean, sampling, again, that's huge. So even if, you make a batch of Italian ice and you're showing up at a, event where there's going to be a lot of people, and even to give people samples, and they'll be like, what's this? And, again, it just really helps to draw people back in.
Gotcha. How, You mentioned things like amusement parks. This has not been the best year for large
Right.
gatherings, but talk a little bit. So I'm sure some of those type of things have not been big money makers for Rita's this year. But what about the actual shops, with the kind of the walk up and drive through nature? I'm guessing that's helped your owners kind of hang in there this year.
It really has. And when COVID hit this year, um, I mean, we really had to take a step back and, understand what else could we do to help our franchisees. And we had already been planning to execute, but we executed third-party delivery earlier than anticipated just because of the pandemic. So think about Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, and you would never think that you'd want to order Italian ice or a gelati, to get delivered. But I'm telling you, the numbers that some of these franchisees are doing in just third party throughout this year had been incredible. They would have never guessed that would have been an additional source of revenue for them. We really had the operations down packed, and obviously, you're only able to do that within a certain mileage radius of a Rita's location for obviously product quality concerns, but that's been something beneficial for our franchisees. And I think also, again, our model being founded on a walk-up was huge. So we were able to really implement the CDC and, safety guidelines pretty easily, social distancing. Obviously, we're outside. That helps a lot. The glass shields, masks. So, I mean, I can tell you that as a system, we were up over sales this year than last year. And I really think that has to do with a couple different things. I mean, people weren't really going on vacation. They were, afraid to travel. So families then took it, to that point to have Rita's, be their sweet escape, so to speak. So a lot of families would come. And I mean, also too, you're thinking about all the people that are at home, working from home, staying at home. So when someone was coming to the window, they weren't ordering for themselves, they were ordering for themselves and, the 3 or 4 people in the car are at home. So then you're seeing the average ticket price increase as well. So I think overall, we were really grateful that also the weather, the weather is a big piece of it as well. And we did have good weather this year. So I think all those factors really helped out the franchisees this year to be even more successful.
Well, and talk a little bit about that too. You mentioned the weather. You guys are founded in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So forgive me, right? So how seasonal is a Rita's?
Most locations, they are kind of operating from a March to September timeframe, but I can tell you, even a lot of them here in Pennsylvania, they do open in February, and especially with the weather too, they can decide whether or not, they'll close in September, or we've had some stay open until November this year. I mean, we've been seeing some crazy weather, so it's certainly going to be helping them. And then, of course, we do have the year-round operations as well. So I think there's a lot of flexibility for franchise owners to decide, how it will best work for their operations and what they'd like to do. But majority are seasonal.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you mentioned this earlier, but the customer, like, you're not kidding. The loyal following of people with Rita's is really crazy. And so if anybody's not been there or not been around that, but there was one opened a couple years back in Arizona, and it was a friend of mine at the time who had grew up on the East Coast. Oh my God, you thought like it was Santa Claus or something that was coming to town. They were so, oh my gosh, there's a Rita's. We need a Rita's here so bad. I'm so excited. And at the time, it was before we started working with you guys, and I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? But there is a huge passion and loyal following for you guys, which is, I'm guessing, equal parts the product is good, but the experience that they're getting when they're coming in is really strong as well. Is that pretty accurate?
It is, and I can't tell you how many times through all the people I speak with interested in the business that they have such nostalgic, memories of Rita's. Whether they were, oh, I remember my grandmother taking me there in the summer, or just like different memories that everyone would have, that it really just created this affinity really for the brand, and it's grown over the years, and it always brings people back to that kind of childhood memory. And it speaks volumes to the effect that the brand has on people. One of the biggest days for us is the first day of spring, and I don't have a picture here, but on the first day of spring, it's normally March 20th, all of our locations give away one free Italian ice to every guest. And
Oh, wow.
of course, who doesn't love something free, right? Okay, it's free. But I'm telling you, the lines that wrap around these locations, it doesn't matter if it's been snowing before, it's been rainy, sunny, literally every single weather condition, and there's still people out there in line to get this free small cup of ice. Like it's beyond, it's become an experience for so many people. I was speaking with someone this year, and they told me how their family, they split up into groups and decided to make it a competition and see how many people could go to Rita's on the first day of spring. And I think one of them went to like 35 locations. And it's beyond me at how, it's amazing about how well people love the brand. And it's just about the experience. Again, it's not even about it being free. It's about the experience they get with Rita's. So that's always a big day for us. We did have to postpone it this year, hoping for obviously a different year next year. But that's also a great day where we get a ton of free coverage without even asking. All the local channels pick it up. We go national. We're on Fox and Friends, Good Morning America. So that leads a ton of exposure for the brand as well.
Nice. Plus you got the cool little mascot guy right down there.
Exactly, the ice guy.
So
yeah,
nice.
The ice guy.
So when just at some point when we get back into the normal world and we start going to like franchise conferences and stuff, can you please make sure the ice guy shows up?
Yes.
I'll totally put that on. So.
Totally, absolutely. And have you ever watched the show This Is Us? It's on NBC. Or heard of it?
I've heard of it, not seen it.
Okay, so it's part of the show is based in Philadelphia because that's where one of the characters' father grew up and where his childhood was. And I think this also again speaks to the volume of the loyalty and just the knowledge of the brand, and people love it. Last year, the producer, they were focusing one of the episodes in Philadelphia, so they wanted to kind of have the characters go around and witness the best things in Philly. Obviously you're going to have a cheesesteak, and in Philly we call Italian ice water ice. Water ice. I know that doesn't make sense when you say it, but that's what we all know in this, area, what Rita's is. Water ice. Water ice is Rita's. So anyway, so the producer of the show, when they were thinking about this episode, he said, I want Ritas on the show. They need to be, that's like a Philly thing. They need to be included. So they contacted us, and we ended up having a probably, I would say 30 to 45 second shot on the show last November. And that was just so incredible. It was so cool.
Very nice. Water ice. I've not heard of that, but
no.
There's also the same city that uses a lot of cheese whiz too. So
right.
So
we
yeah,
all have weird names.
Exactly. So this is all great, right? Then obviously the sweet treats, the customer passion, on all these things we're talking about. But let's be honest, Jenna, talk to us. What's it cost? Talk a little bit about that,
Right.
that investment to get started.
Of course. And I know when you look at the total investment here, I mean, obviously there's a range. And when you look at the range, I mean, that's really because when you think about where we're located, we're across the country. So you are looking at some of the West Coast markets where obviously construction can be pretty big. And some of our franchisees actually own the property that the shop's on. Some have also bought and built, it was a pad site and they built it from the ground up. So that really leads to the investment range. But I would say on average, the range is between 250,000 to 300,000. And as you kind of break that down, I mean, you're looking at the initial franchise fee, which is 35,000. We do discount it if you do development agreements, obviously, multiple units. So we do discount those upfront fees as well for those that are looking for those opportunities. And we do give a 20% discount to veterans as well. So,
well,
but,
and in the food space, in the grand scheme of things, you're looking 250, 350, something like that, getting all in with some working capital.
right.
That's pretty darn low in the food world, right? It's tough to get anything that's in even in that kind of quick serve, fast casual thing that's under 500,000-600,000. And I don't know that you're going to have any of those come on here and talk about how 2020 was their best year in sales across the system either. So,
Right.
So good. So that all makes sense and is good. And then a little bit of, and obviously when we have our clients working with you or any franchise, we get into great detail into the financial stuff, but just kind of walk us through kind of high level, some of the things that people could expect possibly financially.
Right. And of course, there is a range, but just kind of, high points of our item 19. I mean, we have a lot of locations, like I mentioned to you, that some are in special venues. Some are only operating, a couple months out of the year, depending on the venue. So there's a bunch of different factors that are involved in that. So it's basically looking at this tier that's mainly consisting of a standard, Rita's location, one that's making the ice every day, fresh daily. So, I mean, obviously, if you're looking at the highest, gross sales location, I mean, they're doing about 950,000. They're close to $1 million. But I mean, overall, the average, I mean, you're looking at around 350,000. I mean, obviously, we can't give you any earnings claims, but we certainly can connect candidates with franchisees to certainly get better understanding of numbers and everything else that's involved.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's it. You mentioned this, and it's a key component of that vetting process. Get to talk to some existing owners, and certainly financially, but also you just want to kind of vet out with them their overall experience. And as an owner, what are the advantages? What are some challenges? And kind of make sure that you feel like you're talking to people with a similar kind of mindset. So that obviously the financial comes in there as well, but there's so much more to it than that. So,
of course.
Awesome. What's anything else, Jenna, that maybe we didn't talk about that you'd like us to know about Rita's?
I really think that we did cover so much, just kind of, again, high level about, I guess I could talk a little bit about the support that we do provide our franchisees. So we are deeply involved through every step in the process. And generally from the point that someone would sign a franchise agreement with us, from the time they get open, it's generally about a 6 to 9 month process to go through all the steps and get you going. That'll start off with site selection. I mean, we help you with that. You're not alone. You're not finding your own site. We're helping you. We provide you obviously with a real estate broker that's established in the area and also that is familiar with our brand and our site criteria and what's going to work best. So we'll work with you through that. We do have a full comprehensive training program that happens prior to opening. And that does, involve you coming up to Philly to help serve us some treats here in the office. We always love that. And, there's just a lot of support that's even provided thereafter with their franchise consultant. We always like to call them the fairy godmother or the fairy godfather. But I mean, quite honestly, they're the main point. They're the corporate office in the field. They're there to help you with the success of your business, with your marketing and your business plans. So they're there for whatever you need. So you're not really by yourself. I mean, it is your business, of course, but, we're there to help you along the way.
Awesome. Good. No, and I kind of threw that question at you, maybe cut you off a little off guard, but the support was one of the things I wanted to make sure we talked about, especially from a real estate standpoint, because you do need to make sure you find that great location. And
Yes.
I think people understand that, but understanding, okay, well, what about the lease negotiation and tenant improvements, and how do we negotiate that? How do we get everything built out? That's usually out of most people's expertise, but they don't
Right.
have to have the expertise. They need to work with the Ritas team and follow the plan, and really it's not too terribly difficult at that point, right? So it's certainly, they don't have to. It's weird sometimes, people with location-based franchises think that somehow the franchise has done everything for them except for that. That's included as well, because again, if you don't nail that, it's going to be a tough go. So that's awesome, Jenna. Thank you. I really thank you so much for coming on today to talk to us about Rita's Italian Eye. So thanks so much for doing so.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And hopefully you'll have some people to talk that we can speak with soon as well.
Absolutely. And as always, I hope our Franchisor Spotlights help enlighten those interested in franchise ownership to some of the amazing possibilities that are out there. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a franchise owner of Rita's or any of the 500 plus brands we're partnered with, then let's schedule a brief introductory call. Here's all the fun ways to contact us. And of course, follow us on social media everywhere you can. Again, there's never any fee for our service, so we encourage you to take that first step today to help create your better tomorrow. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Stay safe, and we look forward to connecting soon. Have a great day.